So Donald Trump hops up on stage, a week and a half in, and he's like, yeah, we going to war. I know that war that none of y'all want. I know I'm the most popular president. I get it. It's not a selection, it was an election. Yes, you went to the polls and you took a poll, and it showed that the brainwashing worked quite effectively, and you thought I was going to actually do something like no politician ever. But now we're going to war. So last week it was about 24-hour cancer vaccines that actually work, and all the R&D's been done for decades and years, and it doesn't even work like how we're telling you. But I know y'all said y'all wanted freedom of choice, but here's a choice: cure your cancer that we might or may not have given you in 48 hours. You see, with our American Freedom Data Center. Yes. This is what we are under the thumb of. When I look at that White House stage, especially during his campaign, where the polls did show that the majority of the voting population, people who participate in the ritual of pretending to cast your 1-800-IDOL-01 for Donald Trump, this is what you get. Now, I say this is what you get as if you wasn't going to get it already anyway. This is by no means a partisan or liberal or democratic perspective I'm carrying you. It's exit the theater. Exit the theater. Turn it off. Do not pay attention to it. It is going to be the death of you if you can't understand that. They are lying to you. The lies have been pervasive as far as I can tell. They are batting 6 squillion at this point. Forget 1,000. Batting a squillion at this point. I don't even know how many zeros that is. At destruction and dissolution of your family, your body, your mind, your freedom, and everything. And they got y'all out here on some like cast your vote for the guy who's literally going to do what every other politician does, not pay attention to what you asking for or want, do exactly what the people who paid him to be in office, to read the cue cards that he's just reading while everybody around him is just talking to the camera like they actually own what's going on, and introduce not only a bone that gets reversed with a sweep of a stroke, or with the banking override that is an exit from the United Nations, as if. I mean, this dude's trying to start his own digital UN. It's not so that he can like return to freedom so he can be the UN. And then he gives you a 48-hour cancer vaccine, as well as we're going to war. We're going to own Gaza. And the way he talks about this, y'all, is if I would be offended if I was a fan of this man for the specific way in which he dismissively introduces the idea that we're all just going to war in a country that has we have no business being in a place. Like, we all get what's really going on here, but like on paper, right? We have no business even being there, and we're supposed to just go there. I mean, never mind our troops and our taxes. I'm not even talking about the low-hanging fruit. That's low-hanging fruit as far as I'm concerned. I'm talking about y'all just let this man stand up here and be like, yeah, he represents us, and he just stood up there with Netanyahu looking at him all like, meanwhile he's like, yeah, we're gonna own it. We're gonna totally own Gaza. We're gonna just own it. It's gonna make it. It's an awful place to live. It's like, nobody wants to live there. Did you ask why, Donald? Was it because the guy sitting across the stage from you murdered a bunch of people and destroyed their life, and that's why it's an awful place to live? Or is it some other reason that you don't care to share? Under false pretenses, this man, with the apparatus and the help of the intelligence agencies of both of those individuals' respective countries sitting on stage, a bigger plan has been playing out this entire time since all y'all been alive, including the two men on stage. With a big giant asterisk as to like how long they've been alive. But never mind that. We are here. I am here at a state of perplexity around the discernment of people who still trust this dude. 2 days in, he talk about we're gonna log into your body and cure your cancer. We're gonna make a custom cancer vaccine. On the heels of the phenomenon called turbo cancer, that he warp speed. Things that are warp sped go really fast. Like things that are turbo go really fast. There's all this alien reference, right? Stargate, just Stargate. I don't know what it is. Wait, Trump. I don't know. Just Trump. You got okey-doked. You were deceived. You were lied to if you voted for this man or if you ever thought he was going to trust. And you were deceived even harder if you thought that lady was going to do any better or any different. This is wrestling, and she might as well have been Black China. And he might as well, she was Black Israel, and this dude was Stone Cold Steve Israel. And they was just acting. There was just two actors with like tights and underwear on, like greased up and slapping each other on stage while stomping on the floor with mics underneath. It wasn't real. It wasn't actually fighting. They like called cut, went backstage, quaaluded up, and called it a day. It's like it's an industry, Were the people not entertained? The same people that brought you all the rest of your entertainment, they bring you cold hard facts on the news. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's on the news. That's where it's the truth. It's the same network. Everything else is fiction. Literally. But that's the one thing that's not fiction. Everything else is programming. Television programming. But they called it programming. And you don't think it's programmed. That's not what it is. Your programming guide. How would you like to be programmed today? You little computer idiot. Yeah, because it was an all-encompassing trick to deceive you, me, your mother, your grandmother, and your children. Father, grandfather, and your grandchildren too. And it's kind of working, okay? Can we just be honest and say it's kind of working? So there's a whole lot of like come to Jesus meetings people need to have, colloquially speaking, about what's important and what's not in terms of what's worthy of being discussed, what's worthy of being discussed. I'm worried because, not for my own or family's sake, because I believe that the power of God to protect those who are in his will and those who still have the heart and compassion to try to like work against the system, which I'm not the only one, there's a lot. But I believe those people are divinely protected, and that's the only protection that's protectable, because everything else is open for hacking, okay? And they've been doing a lot of hacking and a lot of sacking lately, while you've been sitting at home doing a lot of snacking and a lot of yakking. Anyway, the war thing is what really did it, man. It's just like this dude just stood up on stage and said, "Oh yeah, those, and then people can return those people." He couldn't even say Palestinians out his mouth, y'all. He couldn't even utter the word. Those people, those are the Semites. Hello, y'all want to talk about anti-Semitic? They done flipped the script on y'all big time. Hello, everybody in the region basically is from Shem. That's where the word Semitic even comes from. I don't know how to convince people that they've been duped on this. I don't even want to convince people. It's just like they got to convince themselves. The Holy Spirit got to convince them, because at this point I can't do it. Take the wheel, put it in autopilot mode. Whew. I don't know what else to say, y'all. It's just kind of like, This man just said he's going to hop into a war that we don't need to be in. Nobody wants this. We're supposed to be controlling the army, right? We control the government. That's what they said. That's what they said it's supposed to work like. But how come nobody was like, oh yeah, Palestine needs to be taken up. Yeah, we need to go help them stop the assault against the much larger and much well-funded state that everybody in the entire region is basically scared of because of how long worth of like fruits that show that they're not acting in the will of God. How are we supposed to know someone by their fruits? And how are we supposed to actually discern what's what when the biggest, most obvious things are still taken on 80% of the country that participates in the political charade? These are like 101 level deceptions that are snatching people up, catching you. What's that? Caught up, got me feeling it. Caught up, I don't know what it is. I can tell you exactly what it is, Usher. It's that y'all been listening to these scrubs and these agents and these deceptive voices that don't have the entire story, or withholding most of all the relevant information, and or just figured out what was going on last Tuesday and don't know anything about history and trajectory and the befuddlement thereof, therewith, whither, I don't know, just within it. The history and the befuddlement within the history and the historical conversation, the technology, how it all really works. I honestly guarantee you, most people who are watching this, and I love you and I appreciate your time, but if you're being honest, could you tell me honestly, write it on a piece of paper, draw it out, schematics, picture art, essay form, numerical code, whatever, how HOW does your remote control to your television actually work? Don't just say, oh, I hit the button and it moved. I want to know how it works. I want to know just, a paragraph of how it actually works. Is it radio frequency? Is it LiDAR? Is it sound, sonar? Is it osmosis, pheromones, mojo, juju? Which one is it? None of the above? All the above? How? Most of y'all don't know how your remote works. You don't know how your cell phone works. You don't know how your car works. You don't know how the world works. You don't know how a light bulb works. You don't know how... I can keep going, but basically anything works. And that is why you getting the works done to your ass. Okay? You're getting a tremendous amount of assaults thrown your way that are landing and sticking that shouldn't/wouldn't otherwise, if you were more hip to the street game of what's actually going on in the world of liars, snakes, and greedy bastards. And I say bastards not even colloquially, like literally people with no fathers, no upbringing, born through illegitimate lust, that have no redemptive nature in their free will because they haven't chosen to invite that or refine that in themselves. And these are people given the biggest and most proliferating voices today, including the narcissist in chief who just said, we going into war. Yeah, no, but we going into war. Y'all gonna cure cancer in 2 days? We about to launch Stargate. And we're going to war. And y'all straight up just, didn't say nothing? Just 5D chess did away. I think 5D chess, I think Donald Trump is playing 5D chess. He is, but the kind of crazy thing about chess is that anybody who's really good in chess is always not as good as the person that's better than them in chess. Okay, so if Donald Trump is, playing 5D chess, right, and his entire decor of sports, the chessboard motif proliferating through his home and everywhere else, his crest and all the rest. then maybe he's just a good chess player and you're the checkmate. Maybe he is playing 5D chess. I'll give it to you, maybe. But what if you're the checkmate? Ha ha! Checkmate. 5D chess. This dude has everybody out here loving him for false reasons and hating him for false reasons. All the haters. It's the corniest thing in the world to watch the liberal have bite into Donald Trump, because it's like biting into a marshmallow that's not Donald Trump with some blindfolds on, because they don't know what they don't know. And it's even worse. It's just like what does Scar say in The Lion King? I'm surrounded by idiots. When the hyenas was acting all foolish, that's what it feels like. I don't know, y'all. So I'll encourage you with this. If you've been feeling like something's off, you're not alone and you're not wrong. Your hunches and your spidey senses actually still work. If somehow you've been feeling like this is exactly what's meant to be and the world is just working like it is, like it's supposed to, unless you're talking like cosmically in terms of like the intrinsic sense, at the functional sense, that's like quite literally the opposite of what's going on. Every needle on the dash is all the way in the red. Every light on the dash is blinking. It's all like, it might as well be like a Christmas show from Home Alone, with all these lights on the dashboard blinking in terms of my government vehicle. Me and my private automobile, on the other hand, we out here trying to just help people in a way that lands, that sticks, that has teeth. Okay? And I just can't help but notice the urgent nature and the kind of like seemingly quicker than normal fashion by which I just how quickly rolling this stuff out, y'all. This thing is popping, moving. I'm like, okay, wow. It took like a day to talk about some new, okay, I'll give you the micro skinny on how this technology works. I won't go into detail here, but we'll be talking more about this on later episodes. The injections are just the relay nodes. They're not the entire system. It's like a system on a chip in a way, but the point of the chip is to be a wireless communication structure and bio-digital interface, a thing that allows you to interface biology with digital communications. Okay? Don't let the big words fool you. Bio-digital interface, digital twin, these are things that are like functional Excel spreadsheets at the end of the day that have massive amounts of cellular data aggregated to a unique identifier tied to your unique biosignature. What is a biosignature? It's the electrical signature measured usually around like megahertz of a human body's resonant heartbeat pulse. It's like the sound that you make when you go boom, boom, boom. That boom and the associated echoings and reverbs are proliferating out in the electromagnetic spectrum to such a degree that they can be measured and picked up and attenuated, meaning like focused on, and like everything else filtered out, so you're zooming just into this one area, and that can be recorded in an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, it's called a database. Surprise! It's got like a TXT or like a DOC file. Now, it's probably not even that. It's probably just literal raw code, or maybe some TXT file. But the reason I'm explaining this is because I think people owe them it. I maintain that humans are smart enough to figure out how to survive for themselves in whatever capacity and way they need to do that, if they're equipped with the right information and the right context of what's going on around them. It's when you blindfold them and you withhold them and you put them on some LED mirror screen surface that they think they're somewhere they're not, because their sensors and sensory perception is all over the place. That's when they can't have a fair fight against what's happening, because they don't know where they are. I'm trying to say, listen, I'm going to do my best job at giving people the context of what this warfare looks like so that you can have a fair fight where you at. And what it looks like is digital biosignatures and cyber physical interfaces being rolled out at the data center level. Anytime there's two billionaires in a room and a guy reading cue cards who's not the billionaire that funded his own project, the two billionaires are who's actually in charge, and the guy looking at his notes the whole time is not in charge. Maybe you've never been around bosses or people who are in charge, but the folks with the money, they're calling shots that the folks without the money are not calling, okay? The executive producers, Ellison, Massa, and with it almost looked to me in that press conference like Sam Altman was like briefed on all of this last night. Hey, so I know you've been working on this AI thing. We love it. We're going to buy it, and we're going to give you billions of dollars, and we're going to license it in this new thing that Ellison's been working on with the database. What's the database of? What's the database of? Oh, every human person's digital biosignature and the unique identifier that allows us to log in under their skin and control their plasmonic states and and affect, the molecular structure of their body via their unique biological signal, which it does make them kind of get a little sick when we start doing our thing with our buttons and stuff. But we just have our division over there called the Perception and Illusion Division, called the News Channel, to tell them that it's like a pandemic, and we've got one or two epidemiologists that, only learn what we allow them to learn in the first place, to be the voices of who gets to steer the narrative on this, and everybody else gets just deleted if they have anything to say, because people are too stupid to know when something's untrue and when not to listen to it. So we have to tell them when something, I know you're smart, but you're also stupid, and you are too dumb to know that what this guy over there is about to say is wrong. So we're going to tell you it's wrong ahead of time. And in fact, he can't say that anymore, because that person over there might interpret it bad. He needs to stop selling these onesies on his website, because this person might walk through a mall somewhere and somebody might see that shirt and then might not get the thing that we're selling. So promise me today that you'll take this onesie off your website. Meanwhile, they're logging in under people's skin and wirelessly rolling out a war. I've heard it coined, somebody called it an omni-war. I think that's a very appropriate term. Multifaceted, all scalar, all encompassing, several vector war that most folks just don't even care to understand, because it's like, Chris, that's just too much. You're in war right now. I can't, but I got an appointment and I got a thing, but you're in war though, right now, right now. I'll just wait on Jesus to come take me out of what war? The war that he literally never took Israel out of. So now you about to go, and now your president's going to go help in that war. The one that they just can't help but end up in, because Palestine was just existing in all of its existence all these years. Philistia. Y'all don't understand. The nation of Judea has been owned since before Jesus. The Alexander the Great and them, the Antiochus Epiphanes era, that owned Judea. That's why Herod was killing everybody 2 and under, and everybody went through with it, because Israel didn't own Judea at the time. It was mostly Greco-Roman, Hellenized, and it was mostly a transient. It was like New York City. It was like people from all over. Mostly with Greek culture, a pretty heavily influenced Greek culture for at least 4-5 years, because they be lying about insertions and intertestamentals and all this stuff. And that people group in a war, a very famous war in the late 1st century. Never mind why it's called the 1st century when we know it wasn't the 1st century. Everybody just agrees, oh yeah, today is 2025, next year is 1, and the year after that is 2, and nobody's gonna talk about why. It's just called BC. They are lying about the time periods. They are lying about darn near everything, okay? And I don't know what to tell y'all. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know, because people are either going to get it or they're not. They're either going to admit it or they're not. They're either going to say, okay, all right, got it. I was duped. I was deceived for a minute. I tried to keep the faith. I just got deceived. Or they're not going to do that, because their pride is going to admit that, he's playing 5D chess. And even though we're now entering a war to fund, ostensibly, right? If this is all how this is supposed to work, right? Taxpayer dollars. It doesn't work like that, by the way, but that's what y'all think. So is taxpayer dollars, right? Oh, I'm paying my taxes to go and support my president killing a bunch of people under whose beef again? Why again? Why? Because, it's such an awful place to be. So we're going to go end the war. Well, what does ending a war look like in every context of however any war was ended, from like the military industrial complex standpoint of the, never mind antiquity, let's just go with the recent history. This man is fooling y'all, and I don't know how to put it any more straightforward. Hop off the Trump train. Hop off the Trump boat. Hop off the politics boat in general. Don't hop on no Bernie boat. Don't hop on no Rand Paul boat. It's all a captured conversation. And that's my wife calling me, so let me actually be the good husband and pick up the phone. Just understand, this war is not going to end well for you and your kids if y'all don't just sit there and just do nothing.